What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for March the 20th of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. I do hope that this one finds you well, and for those that are brand new to the podcast, this is a daily gaming news show where I bring you the hottest gaming news from around the industry, and I pack it up in one tight, neat little show for you to enjoy. Now, of course, it is hosted live on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time if you did want to check out the show. But today, we have a lot of news about Google's brand new gaming service because it is not a console. It's not a bird nor a plane. It is, in fact, a powerful new game streaming service. But you need to open your mind a little bit because it's much bigger than what you would normally think of a game streaming service being. It's a very complicated kind of thing to think about, but we'll be thinking about it here on today's show. Now, on top of that, we'll talk about Stadia a good bit, including a new company surrounding Stadia that produces first-party titles, but we're going to be talking about something that's not directly gaming related, but it's still worth talking about because Disney has officially closed a $71 billion deal to acquire 21st Century Fox. We'll talk about what that means for the entertainment industry overall. The NPD numbers for February are in, and as expected, Anthem is still doing very well, even with the mixed reception within the community. But we'll talk more about what else is up there with the NPD group chart and all of that good stuff for February. And on top of that, Konami has announced the Anniversary Collection series, and you can find all the details right here on the show, along with Castle Crashers Remastered. Not connected in any kind of way, shape, or form to Konami, but it is something that is worth talking about because, of course, Castle Crashers is a big deal. People love that game. So that's pretty much the lineup for today's show. I do hope that you enjoy what we talk about here. And, of course, if you are brand new to the show, click that subscribe button. Get it delivered to your feed every single weekday. It's always a good time. Always. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? Google announces Stadia, a powerful new game streaming service. Now, there are a lot of articles that go much more in depth on everything that Stadia is bringing to the table, but this is just generally an overview of what the actual system slash platform slash service actually is, so I found it to be pretty fitting for this. Google CEO Sundar Pichai admits he is not a big gamer guy, but he's got big plans for gamers around the world. Today, Google revealed its new game streaming platform, Stadia, with a stated goal to bring the best games to everyone in the world. Quote, "When we say for everyone, we really mean it. It's one of our most cherished values at the company," Pichai says. "Here is everything we know about the gaming platform right now." How powerful is Stadia? The Google Data Center network powering Stadia covers 19 regions, 58 zones, and 200 plus countries and territories, bringing the 4K 60 FPS games to 2 billion people via any device using the Chrome browser. This includes desktops, laptops, phones, tablets, and televisions. This means players can bring games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey anywhere they take their devices and pick up right where they left off. The tech blades powering the Stadia experience in these data centers are formidable. While the PS4 runs at 4.2 GPU teraflops and the Xbox One X at 6, Stadia runs at 10.7 GPU teraflops. It's a lot of flops. It also supports Unreal Engine 4 and Unity. Its Marty Stratton said Doom Eternal already runs on Stadia at 4K with HDR at 60 frames per second. And for those that don't know, that's a big claim. In the future, the service will support 8K resolutions and 120 frames per second. So here is the Stadia controller. In a lot of ways, it's similar to the Xbox One design, but it's also mingled in with the PlayStation 4 design because the analog sticks are aligned with each other. But it also has a good touch of the Nintendo softness that you would expect from that company. It's a very strange hybrid controller, but one that it very well could be promising. The Stadia service works with existing USB controllers or mouse and keyboard. However, Google also designed its own matte white controller, which connects through Wi-Fi directly to the game that is running in the Google Data Center to ensure the highest possible performance. The Stadia controller features two new buttons. The capture button is for sharing your gameplay with 4K resolution at 60 FPS, and the Google Assistant button allows players to access the controller's built-in microphone to get help when they are stuck directly from the AI assistant, which can immediately pull up a walkthrough or offer advice for your game. Now, it is worth mentioning that if you do want to play any kind of Stadia game on your television at launch, you are going to be having a Chromecast included with your little device setup. You're going to have to buy one. That's just the way that it is, but many people have Chromecast lying around these days. With that being said, you cannot pair something like a PlayStation 4 controller or an Xbox One controller in any kind of way, shape, or form with a Chromecast. If you do want to play on a television, you have to have the Stadia controller. So, with that being said, let's continue. How does Stadia integrate with YouTube? A question I'm sure many of us are asking ourselves, hypothetically. The Stadia technology connects directly into YouTube, allowing players watching a game stream to click a Play Now button and be playing within 5 seconds. The crowd play feature allows content creators to stream directly through Stadia and even drop viewers right into their multiplayer session or queue them up for the next match. Using State Share, developers and streamers can share game states that drop players directly into a moment or challenge for any game on the platform. Developers and creators can build as many shareable moments as they want. Q Games founder Dylan Cuthbert developed an entire game around his new technology that will be revealed later this year. What about cross-platform play? Google VP Phil Harrison says that Stadia supports cross-platform play and can migrate saves from pre-existing platforms. However, he did not reveal which consoles or services are supported. And so when it comes down to it, what games can you actually play on Stadia? Hundreds of publishers and studios are currently migrating games to Stadia. Bethesda, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Q Games, and Tequila Works all participated in the presentation. But does Stadia have exclusive games? Absolutely. Google has not revealed any platform exclusives, but the newly formed Stadia Games and Entertainment Division, headed by former EA and Ubisoft exec Jade Raymond, is committed to creating games specifically for the platform. And of course, when does it launch? Later in 2019, first in the US, Canada, UK, and parts of Europe, and there is no cost as of yet, but sources to Game Informer say that this is a Netflix-like subscription service and not a regular marketplace like Steam. So, those are a collection, that is a collection of the details that we've gotten from the giant Google Stadia presentation. Now, before I jump into an article that focuses more on the first-party titles and whatnot with Jade Raymond heading up the studio, let's talk about the piece of hardware, the platform, the service itself, because there's a lot to break down here. And of course, I personally think this is without a doubt part of the future of the gaming industry. Streaming and cloud-based gaming is incredibly impressive, and I've mentioned it on episodes of the podcast before, but I was lucky enough to get into the Project Stream Google test that ran towards the end of 2018, and it was essentially where you logged into Assassin's Creed Odyssey and played via your Google Chrome browser. No additional hardware, nothing at all running in the background, just Google Chrome. And it ran better than my PlayStation 4 Pro. It was an incredible experience, one that changed my perception of cloud-based gaming. I was getting very good resolutions, very good frame rates, there was little to no input lag. Project Stream was incredible, and of course, as we all know, that's pretty much a foundational part of what this Google Stadia technology actually is. That's what it's going to be bringing to the table. So, I have faith in this, and that's the first point that I want to make. However, I do have two caveats that hold back my expectations and hold back my excitement, because I am the outlier in this entire situation, in the entire marketplace. I have an incredibly good internet connection, and I have access to unlimited data. These are two very important factors that I feel like many people aren't necessarily going to be able to keep up with whenever you're talking about early adoption of Google Stadia. So, of course, they have been talking about what you are going to need to maintain a solid performance whenever you're playing games. And according to a Kotaku interview, if I remember correctly, 25 megabits per second was the requirement for 1080p 60 frames per second, and they have managed to get 4K at 30 megabits per second. So with all of that being said, and with all of that being taken into consideration, that's a relatively understandable amount of bandwidth and an understandable internet connection, but at the same time, that's still a little bit much for the vast majority of gamers, and that's a large expectation to have whenever you're talking about people's internet connections, even in the United States. It's just not there yet. The internet infrastructure is not where it needs to be to support Google Stadia at launch in the way that it should be supported at launch. Now, with that being said, Another giant issue is data caps, because data caps essentially cap your data whenever you hit a specific point in the month. So if you have a plan that allows you to have 100 gigabits of data, imagine streaming 4K 60 frames per second content, assuming you have the bandwidth for that content. That would go away very quickly. And I mean, if you're going to be streaming a game, assuming that's exactly how this works, where it's constantly being live streamed to your device, assuming you're going to be streaming a game for maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, you know, if you're doing that kind of thing, that's a lot of data, and you are going to be flying through that data during your play sessions. And so with that being said, these are two of the biggest things that come to mind when I think of hangups for the entire Google Stadia launch and that entire situation. Now, with that being said, in 5 years, this is going to be incredibly lucrative. This is going to be a huge part of the gaming industry, because streaming is such a powerful tool whenever you're talking about how you get games to people. To forego buying a $400 to $500 console at the beginning of a life cycle, and just to be able to sit down at your desktop, at your laptop, at your phone, whatever you might be using, and play today's biggest games. That's something that is incredibly powerful, incredibly useful, and something that I think a lot of people would be interested in, assuming that they have the connection to make that possible. Now, could they offer stuff like downloading and being able to play on the go in a similar to the way that Netflix offers that style of content, you know, consumption? Perhaps. There's a lot to break down here, and there's a lot of speculation. But what we know right now is essentially that Stadia is not a console, it's not any kind of hardware, technically. It's more of just a streaming platform that allows people to access games wherever they might be, assuming they have the internet connection to do so. So you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comment section down below in the YouTube video. I would love to hear your thoughts on Stadia. Of course, that's just a very broad overview of everything. You can go deeper into the hardware, you can go deeper into everything from every aspect about Google Stadia, because there was a plethora of information announced on it. But I'm personally interested in seeing what the actual pricing is going to be for the technology. What am I going to have to pay to get access to this next generation forward-thinking hardware, software, all of that good stuff, etc. And I suppose we'll see over the summer, whenever we are supposed to see more about pricing, potentially around E3. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about the first-party games that are going to be coming to Google Stadia, because Google also announced a new first-party game studio led by Jade Raymond, and it's called Stadia Games and Entertainment. We just mentioned it, but it's worth talking about again. Google is building its own in-house studio to make original games for its new streaming platform, Stadia. Named Stadia Games and Entertainment, the new studio will be led by Jade Raymond, the former Ubisoft and Electronic Arts executive. Raymond said that Google's first party will reimagine the new generation of games, and will also be working with external developers to make all of the bleeding-edge Google technology you've seen today available to partner studios big and small. Stadia Games and Entertainment will be comprised of multiple studios, Raymond said. The team will also work with external developers to bring their games to Stadia. Google's currently announced game development partners include Ubisoft, id Software, and Q Games, along with a couple of other ones that we mentioned in the other article. Raymond did not announce any specific titles for Stadia, which is slated to be released in certain territories in 2019. Of course, she has a history of working in various other companies, including Ubisoft and Electronic Arts, but a lot of potential here within the Google Gaming Initiative. I think there is a lot that this company can do, and I think that any kind of new competitor that's coming into the gaming industry is poised to make a big difference, because if you can create genuinely engaging first-party titles, then you can get people to adopt whatever platform you might be promoting, whether it be a piece of hardware like PlayStation or Xbox, or something like this, where it is a giant streaming platform. I mean, we've seen it with this generation, with the PlayStation 4. The fact that the PlayStation 4 has such incredible exclusive games is a huge part of the reason why it is successful today. With games like Uncharted, with games like Spider-Man, with games like Infamous, with games like Killzone, these giant legendary franchises, and those are just a few, are part of the, I guess, public perception of PlayStation. They're part of the identity of PlayStation, and that's why it continues to win time after time, even though the Xbox One X is the most powerful console on the market. So, assuming that you can create a genuinely engaging, fantastic first-party game development studio that pumps out these incredible experiences, then you actually have a chance, even if this is new forward-thinking technology that many people might be a little bit confused about, might misunderstand, and might be wary of in the long run. But again, I'm always down for some new competition because competition brings a lot of innovation. But without a doubt, as Androvsky says in the chat, they have the finance to back it for sure. That is correct. There is a lot of money being thrown around. And in fact, according to a Google executive, somebody that was interviewed yesterday, I watched so much information on this. Essentially, this is not just going to be something that they throw out there just because it's a side project that they want to see, you know, what happens with. This is something that is being worked on by thousands of people throughout Google across the various branches of the company. From YouTube with the social space all the way over to the newest gaming initiative, there is a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of funding being thrown into this project, and it's something that is very, very exciting and very well could take off. So we'll see what happens with it, but that is all you need to know to get started with Google Stadia, and I will let you guys know what happens as more info rolls out over the course of 2019. But now let's move on to the next topic of the day. It's not something that's directly gaming related, but it's something that is incredibly important. Disney closes a $71 billion 21st Century Fox deal. This is massive. Before the end of the East Coast airing of Jimmy Kimmel Live, Disney has formally sealed the deal on its $71 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox. Quote, "This is an extraordinary and historic moment for us, one that will create significant long-term value for our company and our shareholders," Disney Chairman CEO Bob Iger said in a statement on Tuesday afternoon. Combining Disney's and 21st Century Fox's wealth of creative content and proven talent creates the preeminent global entertainment company well-positioned to lead an incredibly dynamic and transformative era. Disney took possession of 21st Century Fox at 12:02 a.m. Assets changing hands in the deal include 20th Century Fox, Fox Searchlight Pictures, Fox 2000 Pictures, Fox Family, and Fox Animation, Fox's television creative units, 20th Century Fox Television, FX Productions, and Fox 21, FX Networks, National Geographic Partners, Fox Networks Group International, Star India, and Fox's interest in Hulu, Tata Sky, and Endemol Shine Group. So, this goes on to talk more about these stocks and whatnot, but I wanted to pull up this fantastic piece of media from the TileMax company, which I believe is pretty much just a fantastic source for, I guess, informative content, because this is an incredible piece of media here. So essentially, this is a graph that shows the companies that Disney actually owns. Now, of course, as you can tell, it's shaped like Mickey Mouse, but in the middle you have the Walt Disney Company. And so this is just a collection of everything. You've got Lucasfilm, you got Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, Walt Disney Pictures, the animation studios, you've got so many smaller companies around, and then of course you have stuff like the music group, you have stuff like the theatrical group, the television group, ESPN is a pretty big one, you might have heard of it. You've got so many of these. Apparently Steamboat Ventures, GoPro? I didn't even know that was a thing. They owned GoPro. They own everything. There are so many companies within just this small division on top of stuff like ABC. But then you have Marvel. They own everything surrounding Marvel. You've got Marvel Toys, Marvel Television, Internet Productions, Entertainment International Limited, stuff like Marvel Worldwide. I mean, I'm looking at all of these various things. Marvel Studios, with everything that encapsulates, that's incredibly huge. On top of that, now we have 21st Century Fox. So that includes 20th Century Fox, as I said, which is a massive company in and of itself. FX, Fox Sports Media Group, that's going to be lucrative come football season. Sky, National Geographic Partners. There is a lot going on here, without a doubt. And on top of that, of course, we are prepping for the launch of their new streaming platform that's going to be taking everything Disney-related off of Netflix and putting it up in one giant collective over on a brand new streaming platform, one that you can add to your credit card deductions for the month. But the point that I want to make here is that this is scary in a way because Disney owns so much stake in the entertainment industry. They control so much. But with that being said, I'm not concerned about it because they do well with entertainment. They are good at what they do. I mean, the whole reason that Marvel has been able to be as successful as it is today is in a large part due to the fact that Marvel has been owned by Disney for the past good long while, and now you are able to see the fruits of that labor. You're able to see that money exchanging hands and saying, hey, make these franchises big, make Marvel big in the movie industry, and now they are, and now that's where we find ourselves today, where you see DC trying to catch up in any kind of way, shape, or form to Marvel because they're just doing so well. At the end of the day, I could ramble for as long as I could, but Disney knows entertainment, and so I'm excited to see what happens with Alien. I'm excited to see what happens with stuff like X-Men, now that they're back in the entire little group here. I would love to see a genuinely good X-Men movie, and I think that's where a lot of people are coming from. Androvsky says, let's see the MCU get even better now. Exactly. You're going to see a lot of stuff. Deadpool, back in Marvel, baby. Let's go. So with all of that being said, excited to see more of what this actually, produces over the course of the next few years. But even if it's not gaming related directly, I still feel like we're going to be seeing something of a ripple effect throughout the entire entertainment industry, and gaming and movies and television. Everything is going to be touched in some kind of way, shape, or form by this acquisition, which again was over $71 billion. That's a lot of cash. But we will see what happens, and of course, if you did want to buy some shares of Fox Corp, you can check it out right now because it looks like it's sitting right around 40 bucks whenever it closed yesterday. So hey, that's some good stock to get in on. It's probably going up, I'm just saying. So let's move on to the NPD numbers for February, because Anthem was BioWare's second best launch ever. That's a pretty impressive launch. Anthem was the top-selling game in the US for February, according to industry tracking firm the NPD Group. The multiplayer shooter also scored developer BioWare's second-best launch month ever, and Anthem is of course out right now on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. BioWare's best launch still belongs to Mass Effect 3, which came out in 2012. However, Anthem is at a disadvantage because the NPD Group's tracking does not include people who are playing Anthem by subscribing to EA Access Premier. That difference, however, may be difficult to explain to publisher Electronic Arts investors. I doubt it, not that hard of a concept, but with that being said, this sales success is in contrast with Anthem's critical and fan reception. The PC version has an average review score of 60 on Metacritic, and Anthem launched in a rough shape full of performance issues and bugs, but it has since recovered fairly well, and it continues to recover as time goes on. Now, yesterday, they also announced a giant blog post that pretty much gave a little bit more detail as to what was going to be coming to Anthem over the course of the next few months as more changes rolled out, as improvements came, stuff along those lines. And we will see how Anthem continues to grow and evolve, but it looks promising for the game overall. So they go on to talk more about Anthem, but let's talk more about these numbers. So total video game sales in February of 2019 were at 1.047 billion, up about 4% from the same time last year. Video game hardware sales were at 277 million, down about 12% from the same time last year. And of course, in general, the PC and video game software sales were up about 15%, and video game accessories and game cards were up about 6% in terms of sales. Now the charts. Number one, Anthem coming in at first place. Number two, Jump Force. Didn't really expect that one, but okay. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 3. 4, Far Cry New Dawn. 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. 6, Resident Evil 2 2019. 7, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. 8 is Metro Exodus, coming in shockingly low in comparison to other games, but I understand. NBA 2K19 coming in at number 9, and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 coming in at number 10. Now, of course, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 digital sales are not included for Minecraft. For some reason, they put that in because, yes, Minecraft is in at number 16, but more importantly, PC digital sales are not included for Black Ops 4, nor Metro Exodus, nor Anthem. So you can go ahead and add a couple of different decimals, numbers, whatever you want to call it, to those, but when it comes down to it, it looks like Anthem is still doing fairly well, even coming in at number 1, regardless of what units are, added to the total and all that good stuff. Anthem is still going to be doing fairly well for the foreseeable future. And of course, I think the biggest thing that a first place finish for the NPD Group, reports, I think that really shows that gamers are invested in Anthem. I think that people expect a lot from Anthem, and I think that Anthem has a lot of potential going forward because they have such fan momentum behind them. Even with a rough launch, I still see many people playing Anthem. I still see a lot of discussion around Anthem, and I think that there's really nothing but to improve from a bad situation. I really do believe that it could come back in a big way, and I think that it very well will, because you've seen stuff like Destiny 2, where you do have, a game that was launched, received a pretty critical reception. Destiny 2 was not good when it first launched. I think that fan expectation had gotten out of hand, and I think that people had expected a game very different from what they ended up receiving. But when it comes down to it, the game has made a resurgence. It's come back, and it's much better than it ever was. But with that being said, if you did want to check it out, again, Anthem is out right now on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and does nothing but improve. But with that being said, Jump Force, wouldn't really recommend buying it, even though it's at number 2. It's not where it needs. It's not a good game. It's not. But with that being said, let's talk about a brand new Anniversary Collection series coming to us from Konami. Because Konami is releasing a 3-game series for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and the PC. Konami has announced a new compilation pack series that bundles together a number of iconic arcade games and classic console titles into one package on modern systems. The Konami Anniversary Collection series, as it's called, is coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and the PC. The first in the series is the Konami Anniversary Arcade Classics, which launches on April the 20th as a digital-only title for $20. The package comes with the following games: Haunted Castle, Ajax, Nemesis, Vulcan Venture, Life Force, Thundercross, Scramble, and Twin B. In addition to the games, the package includes an ebook that contains extras like interviews with developers, sketches, and design documents that have reportedly never been seen by the public before. This is where we all go, ooh. Following that will be the Castlevania Anniversary Collection and the Contra Anniversary Collection, both of which are due out in summer of 2019. This is where you started paying attention again. The Castlevania bundle comes with Castlevania, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, and Super Castlevania 4, along with 4 other titles and an ebook to be revealed later. The Contra package will include Contra, Super C, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, and at least 4 games to be revealed later, along with, you're right, a bonus ebook. And of course, 2019 is Konami's 50th anniversary, so if you did want to check out these anniversary collections, it looks like they're going to be pretty solid. Now, I will admit, the Castlevania collection and the Contra collection, these are much more interesting than the other one. But with that being said, if you do want to get in on some classic Konami games, 2019 is the year to do it. Without a doubt, Castlevania is a legendary game, one that has laid down a precedent that has been built around the gaming industry. The gaming industry has been built around a precedent. Castlevania made waves, throughout the entire industry, and to see it getting the anniversary collection that it deserves is something that is pretty cool. So again, coming in summer 2019, you've got the Contra and the Castlevania collections, but of course, if you did want to check out the Konami Anniversary Arcade Classics, it's coming for $20. Again, just $20, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Not too dang shabby. A pretty good deal if you're into the classics. Now, with that being said, one more classic is going to be getting the remastered treatment. Can't believe I'm calling it a classic, yet here we are. Castle Crashers Remastered is coming to Nintendo Switch and the PS4, and the Behemoth, the company behind the scenes, is also teasing Game 5. The Behemoth's Castle Crashers, is coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 this summer as Castle Crashers Remastered. Tongue twister, the developer announced today. The Behemoth first released Castle Crashers Remastered on Xbox One in 2015. The remastered version of the beloved beat-em-up features 5 times the texture resolution as the original and 60 FPS gameplay. All existing DLC and a new minigame called Back Off Barbarian is also included in the remastered version of the game. In his blog post, the Behemoth developer Dan Paladin revealed that the Play Everywhere Port Studio helped create the 2 new versions of Castle Crashers. The Switch version utilizes HD Rumble, Switch Online, and supports 4-player local Joy-Con use. The PS4 version will display the player's character color in the DualShock 4's light bar. Ooh, that's cool. I love it when people use the light bar. For those that don't know, where's my, hold on. There it is. My PlayStation 4 controller. This light bar right here glows whenever you turn on whatever you are doing, and of course the developer can use it to change the tone of the gameplay by changing the color of the light, but to use it in that way, to have 4 different colors for each individual player, I love that stuff. That's my kind of thing. But with that being said, Moving on, Paladin also addressed why the behemoth hasn't made a sequel to Castle Crashers or any of its other games. A sequel to Castle Crashers would need to be vastly improved over the original rather than more of the same, according to Paladin. Another thing to consider is that there would be no Castle Crashers 2 if we started out by making sequels, said Paladin. You'd have Alien Hominid 2 instead of Castle Crashers 1, or alternatively, there would be no Battle Block Theater if we made Castle Crashers 2. Paladin also teased that the studio is working on a new title codenamed Game 5. The Behemoth released its most recent game, Pit People, into early access over 2 years ago, and Paladin said the Behemoth hopes to reveal more information about Game 5 later in 2019. But, without a doubt, big news for those that are fans of Castle Crashers, because, hey, a remaster treatment's always a good time whenever you have a good game that's gotten a big following over the course of the past few years. But I'm a big fan of Battle Block Theater. I think it's hilarious. Of course, if you do want to dive in and check it out on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and the Xbox One, as well as the PC, let's reel it back in a little bit. Reel it back in. If you do want to check it out on the Nintendo Switch and the PS4 coming out later on, but if you want to check it out right now, Xbox One availability since 2015, my bad. I skimmed through that article. But with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show, and if you did, be sure to drop me a like down below if you are watching on the YouTube video, and if you are hanging out live in the chat, I appreciate you being here, because it's always good to enjoy the gaming news with those that are joining me. But of course, the show is hosted 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time if you did want to check it out. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic one, and enjoy that Google Stadia. And I'm going to go make another cup of coffee and put a couple of packets of Google Stevia in it. I've been waiting to put that joke out there. I had that one brewing in my dad brain for a while. Peace.